Once there was a queen so cruel and jealous, she ordered every prince who wanted her daughter's hand in marriage to die. But what would happen if a poor young prince with no army and no servants dared to face her deadly game? Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I'd love to see how far this story travels. This is not just a fairy tale. It's a story of courage, impossible challenges, and a queen whose cruelty knew no limits. And by the end of today's episode, you'll discover the first impossible task that nearly cost Prince Calen his life. In the kingdom of Avaloria, Queen Malvera ruled with a cold, jealous heart. Her daughter, Princess Alara, was gentle, kind, and so beautiful that princes came from faraway kingdoms hoping to win her hand. But Malvera never intended to let her daughter marry. When a prince came forward, she would smile and say, "You may marry my daughter, but first, you must complete a task for me." The task was always impossible. One prince was told to drain a lake with a spoon. Another was ordered to carry a mountain across the valley by sunrise. All of them failed. And every time, Malvera laughed as her woodcutter carried out her deadly order. "You will never marry," she whispered coldly to Alara. And each time the princess's heart broke a little more. Far away, in a small struggling kingdom, lived Prince Calen. He was the only son of an aging king. Though their kingdom had little wealth, Calen was brave, curious, and filled with hope. When Calen heard whispers of Princess Alara, her kindness, her sadness, and her beauty, he stood before his father and declared, "Father, I must go to Avaloria. I want to marry Princess Alara." The old king's face turned pale. "No, you cannot. Do you not know what happens to those who try? Malvera kills them all. You are my only son. I cannot lose you." But Calen could not eat, could not sleep, and could not stop thinking of Alara. Days passed, and he grew weaker with longing. Finally, his father sighed and said, "Go then, my son. I pray you succeed, though I fear I may never see you again." With renewed strength, Calen packed his sword and set out on his journey. He had no gold, no army, and no servants, only courage. "I will find my companions on the road," he whispered. Not long after leaving home, Calen came across something strange. Ahead, blocking the road, was what looked like a small mountain. But when Calen came closer, the mountain moved. It snored. Then it opened its eyes. It was not a mountain at all. It was a man. A giant man with a belly as round as a hill. "What are you doing here?" Calen asked. The man yawned. "I was asleep. But now, thanks to you, I am awake. And I am hungry." "What did you eat this morning?" Calen asked. "Only 10 chickens and 100 cakes. But it was not enough. I am always hungry," Calen thought quickly. Here was a man with a strange, powerful gift. "Then come with me," Calen said. "Be my servant, and I will give you food." The man's eyes lit up. "Food? If you can feed me, I will do anything you ask." And so the giant man stood, brushed the dust from his clothes, and followed Calen. His name was Boros the Hungry. Calen now had his first companion. But could Boros, a man who thought only of food, be trusted when the time came to face Queen Malvera's deadly trials? The answer would come sooner than Calen expected. Imagine this. You're walking into danger. A queen who has killed every prince before you. Would you dare go alone? Or would you take help, even if that help came from the strangest people you'd ever meet? But here's the real question. Can the weirdest, most unlikely people sometimes save you when no one else can? Think about it. And tell me in the comments, if you could choose one special power, Would you take endless strength, endless speed, or endless vision? Prince Kalen was about to find out the answer. His courage alone would never be enough. Fate had already placed strange companions in his path, and soon they would change everything. On the second day of his journey, Kalen and Boros walked across a burning plain. The sun was cruel, and Boros, as usual, grumbled about food. Then they heard a strange sound, long, endless gulps echoing near an old well. They stopped, and to their shock, saw a man drinking water as if he hadn't tasted it in years. He drank and drank until the well was dry, and still he sighed. Not enough. Kalen stepped forward. "Are you trying to drink the whole world?" The man laughed bitterly. "If I could, I would. No matter how much I drink, my thirst never ends." Boros smirked. "Finally, someone worse than me," Kalen thought for a moment, then said, "Your gift may be strange, but it might be the one thing that saves us. Will you join me?" The man's eyes brightened. "Then I'll come." "Call me Darren." The thirsty days later, in a silent forest, they found another man. He stood perfectly still, bow in hand, staring into the horizon. "What do you see?" Kalen asked. Without turning, the man answered, "A falcon, flying above the northern sea." Kalen frowned. "But that sea is hundreds of miles away." The man lowered his bow at last. His eyes glowed faintly, sharp as blades. "I see what others cannot, beyond mountains, rivers, even across the world. But my sight has left me alone. People fear me." Kalen nodded. "Then don't waste it. Walk with us and give your gift purpose." The man hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Very well. Call me Oren, the far-eyed." That night, by the river, a sudden blur of movement swept through their camp. Leaves spun, the fire almost went out, and in a flash a man stumbled forward, panting. His shoes were torn, his breath ragged. "I can't stop," he gasped. "I was born to run faster than the wind. But the curse is, if I stop too long, I lose my strength." Boros roared with laughter. "And I thought I had problems." Kalen leaned forward. "Then you've been running toward us for a reason. Come with us. Your speed may be the difference between life and death." The runner grinned, breathless but eager. "If you can keep me fed, I'll run wherever you command." "Call me Soren, the swift." And so, Kalen's companions grew. Boros the hungry, who could eat without end. Darren the thirsty, who could drink rivers dry. Oren the far-eyed, who could see across horizons. And Soren the swift, who could outrun the wind. They weren't knights, they weren't warriors, but Kalen believed fate had sent them for a reason. Together, they marched on. At sunrise, the black walls of Avaloria rose in the distance. Behind them waited Queen Malvera, cruel, clever, and deadly. Kalen looked at his companions, his voice steady but low. "This is it. The Queen awaits, and the first trial may kill us all. What would you do if the price of love was facing 3 impossible challenges with your life at stake? Would you dare to try, or would you walk away forever?" Before I continue, let me ask you, do you believe true love is worth risking everything? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see your thoughts. For Prince Kalen, there was no turning back. He and his companions finally stood before the iron gates of Avaloria. The guards sneered but let him through, for every prince was allowed to try, and every prince before him had died. The throne room was colder than stone. Queen Malvera sat high above, her crown glittering like ice, her smile sharp as a blade. Her daughter, Princess Solara, stood nearby, beautiful but pale with sorrow. She dared not meet Kaelin's eyes. "You seek my daughter's hand," the queen said. "Then you must first prove you are worthy. Complete 3 tasks. Fail in even one, and you die." Her voice echoed across the chamber. Kaelin bowed. "Tell me the first task." The queen's lips curved. "Yesterday, I dropped my precious blue jewel into the river." "Bring it back before the sun sets." Kaelin's heart pounded, but he showed no fear. He returned to his companions and whispered, "The jewel is in the river. How can we find it?" Orin, the far-eyed, uncovered one glowing eye. He scanned the rushing waters. There. Beneath the current, caught between 2 stones long before Kaelin could answer, Darren, the thirsty, grinned. He stepped to the river's edge, opened his mouth wide, and drank. The waters fell lower and lower until the riverbed cracked and the jewel shone in the sun. Long arms stretched out, reaching into the dry river, and plucked the jewel free. He placed it in Kaelin's hand. When the queen saw the gem gleaming once more, her face darkened. No prince had ever passed the first test. But she said nothing, only smiled thinly and whispered, "Tomorrow, a second trial awaits." That night, in the safety of their chamber, Boros muttered, "If the first task was that hard, the next will be worse." He was right. The next morning, the queen summoned Kaelin again. Her eyes glittered with cruelty. "You have traveled far, Prince. Surely you are hungry. Outside you will find 30 chickens. Eat them all before noon, not a single bone left." Kaelin bowed politely. "May I invite a friend to dine with me?" "It is rude to eat alone." The queen's smile grew colder. One friend. No more. Kaelin returned to his companions. "Boros, this is your moment. Eat as only you can with a roar of delight." Boros devoured the chickens, bones, feathers, all gone in minutes. But he did not stop. He raided the queen's kitchens, swallowing loaves of bread, wheels of cheese, baskets of fruit, even barrels of wine. He stormed through the gardens and devoured the queen's fruits and vegetables until nothing remained. Then he lay back, sighed, and snored as if nothing had happened. By noon, the queen demanded her meal. She stormed into the kitchen, but found not a crumb. Her face turned crimson with rage. "Impossible," she whispered. This boy may truly survive." That night she plotted endlessly. One more trial. One last trap. Tomorrow he will fail. Kaelin slept little. He knew the queen would not stop until she broke him. He only wondered, what would the final trial be? And as dawn approached, the torches in the queen's tower flickered. Somewhere in the shadows, Malvera whispered to her guards, "Prepare the wine. Tonight the prince will not live to see another day." What would you do if the final test wasn't strength or skill, but a trap so deadly that even victory could mean death? Would you risk it all, knowing the queen never plays fair? Tell me in the comments. Do you believe evil always destroys itself in the end? Or do you think some villains really win? Prince Kaelin rose at dawn, heavy with unease. The queen had promised a third trial, and he knew it would be her most dangerous trap yet. When he entered the throne room, Queen Malvera greeted him with a smile far too sweet. "Tonight," she said softly, "you shall dine with me. After dinner, I will allow you 2 hours alone with my daughter, but there is one rule. You must not fall asleep. If you do, the princess will vanish and you will die." The court gasped. Kaelin bowed. "I will not fail." That evening, he wore his finest clothes and joined the queen at her table. Servants brought dishes fit for kings, golden goblets filled with wine. Kaelin ate carefully. But in a moment of distraction, the queen slipped a drop of dark liquid into his drink. He raised the cup, unaware, and swallowed. The queen's smile widened. After the meal, she led him up a spiral staircase to a tower chamber. There sat Princess Solara, bathed in the red glow of the setting sun. She was even more beautiful than Kaelin had dreamed, but sadness clouded her eyes. At first, their words were full of life and hope, but soon, Kaelin's eyelids grew heavy. His heart pounded. The poison in the wine was taking hold. He tried to fight it, but his eyes shut against his will. Half an hour later, he jolted awake, and the princess was gone. He rushed to the window and cried out. Far below, Orin the far-eyed pressed his ear to the ground. "I hear her!" She calls for help, trapped across the river, sealed inside a tree. Quick as a flash, Sorin the Swift sprinted to the riverbank, but the waters surged, wild and deep. "We can't cross!" Kaelin shouted. Coldman stepped forward at last, a grim smile on his face. "Then I will make the river obey." He tore open his heavy coat. The world turned white, snow fell, winds howled, and the river froze into solid ice. Together they raced across. Long arms reached into the tree, tearing it apart and pulled Solara free. Within moments, she was safe in Kaelin's arms again. They hurried back to the tower room. Just as the door opened, the princess was sitting once more by the window, her hand in Kaelin's. The queen entered, expecting to find the room empty. But when she saw them together, her face went pale. Kaelin smiled calmly. "Your daughter and I were only speaking of rivers and trees. Would you care to join us?" For the first time, Malvera had no answer. But she wasn't finished. That night, she locked Kaelin and his companions in a great hall. She whispered to her cook, "Build a fire beneath them. Burn them alive." The flames roared. The floor grew hot. Big Ear listened carefully. "She's trying to cook us." Coldman laughed for the first time. "Then let her try." He opened his coat wide. The fire below froze to ice. Snow fell from the ceiling. Kaelin and his companions shivered, nearly frozen, but alive. The queen pressed her ear to the door. She heard nothing. "Good," she whispered. "They are dead." She flung open the door, only to find Kaelin standing tall, his companions behind him, frost clinging to their hair. The queen's face twisted in rage. She had lost. The people of Avaloria, weary of her cruelty, rose against her. By dawn, Malvera had fled the kingdom, never to return. And so, Kaelin took Solara's hand, and their wedding bells rang across the land. His loyal companions, Boros, Darren, Orin, Sorin, and Coldman, lived with them in peace. For the first time, the kingdom knew joy. And the story of the cursed queen became a tale of hope, a reminder that even the strangest allies can change the fate of nations. And that, my friends, was the end of Queen Malvera's dark rule, but not the end of the lessons her story carries. Kaelin's courage, his friend's loyalty, and Solara's hope remind us of something powerful. Even the heaviest curses can be broken when you don't give up. Now I want to hear from you. If you could borrow the power of just one of Kaelin's companions, Boros with his endless hunger, Darren with his sharp ears, Orin with his piercing eyes, Sorin with his long reach, or Coldman with his icy breath, which one would you choose and why? Write your answer down in the comments. And don't forget to tell us which city you're watching from. I love seeing where our community is growing across the world. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss the next adventure. Because trust me, what I have coming next will be even more mysterious, more thrilling, and more unforgettable. Until then, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing. Because stories don't just teach us English, they teach us life.